This video is going to cover more factoring techniques. So whenever we factor, first thing we do is we factor out the greatest common factor. Then we determine the number of terms and choose the appropriate method. So in this problem, I want to factor x cubed minus 8. So first step, always look for a greatest common factor. Hopefully you realize there's not going to be any greatest common factor if there's an x in the first term and an x not in the second term. And the first number is 1 and the second number is 8. So there's no greatest common factor here. You can go through, you can do the prime factorization, but it's not going to get you anywhere. There's no greatest common factor for this. So then you need to identify how many terms there are. How many terms are here? There's 2 terms. X cubed is 1, negative 8 is 1. So we follow our methods for 2 terms. We have to have difference of squares, or the difference or the sum of cubes. So when we look at this, do we have a square term or a cube term? Yeah, we have a cubed term here, a cubed term. So, oops. A cubed term, I want to use the difference or sum of cubes. So what is the difference or sum of cubes? It's pretty much this set of formulas here. So we'll put it onto our page for difference and sum of cubes. So first thing we need to determine is, are we dealing with the sum, which is addition, or difference, which is subtraction? In this problem, we're dealing with the difference of cubes. So I'm only focusing on, ooh, that's a bad line. Oh, perfect. This bottom formula. I'm going to ignore the top formula. So I'm just going to cross that out so that way we don't use it. All right, so what we need to do for the difference, this is a difference of 2 cubes. First of all, in order to use this, we do have to have 2 cubes. So we have to know the cube root of each of these. So let's see here. So we're trying to find the cube root of x cubed and the cube root of 8. So hopefully you know a little bit about roots and stuff, maybe from Algebra 1, but cube root and a cube actually are opposites of one another. Just like a square root and a square are opposites of one another. Technically in a square root there is a 2 written here. It's just we don't write it. So the square and the 2 of the root are opposites of one another. That's how they cancel out. So we're going to have a similar concept here. The cube root and the cube cancel out to give me just the x. And then the cube root of 8, maybe you know this, maybe you don't, is 2. That's just saying 2, or what number cubed gives me 8, which is 2. If you're not familiar with cubes, you can use this, you can type this into a calculator fairly easy. If you have one of these graphing calculators, the button for cube root is under math, and you see it is number 4. It's too tiny to squeeze that 3 in that little root section because otherwise you wouldn't be able to see it. So that's why they put it in front. I know it kind of looks like a 3, but when you type it on your screen, you can see that it's cube root. Then we type in 8, and it gives us 2. So when I'm looking at this problem here, really I'm dealing with x cubed and 2 cubed, which means that my x is my first term, which is my a, and my 2 is my second term, which is my b. So really, in this here, x is a, because it's my first term cubed, and 2 is my b, because it's the second term that is cubed. So look at the format, how they're set up. A is pretty much x, and B is pretty much 2. So that means wherever I see an A in this formula, I'm going to plug in x. And wherever I see a B in this formula, I'm going to plug in 2. That's all we're doing, is we're just plugging it into the formula. There's a long method of how they derive this, but I'm not going to worry about that method now. You'll probably learn about it in pre-calc if you get to that point. So A is x, then I have a minus sign. B is 2. Close my parentheses. Open up a new set of parentheses. A squared. A is x, so I have x squared. I have a plus sign next. A times B. So A times B, which is x times 2, which we can write as 2x. Then I have a plus sign. And then I have B squared. B is 2. 2 squared is 4. So here's my factored form of x cubed minus 8. But again, always make sure you completely factor this. So hopefully you realize you cannot factor x minus 2. But there's a possibility that you could factor x squared plus 2x plus 4, because there's a squared term. Anytime you have a squared term or larger, I would always try to factor it. So we go into the process now. We need to look at factoring a trinomial since it's 3 terms. So 3 terms here identify the A, B, and C. A is 1, B is 2, C is 4. Multiply A and C next. A is 1, C is 4, 1 times 4 is 4. Then we list the factors of that. So 1 and 4. Negative 1, negative 4. 2 and 2. And negative 2 and negative 2. And then we go through and we determine which of these add to 2. 1 plus 4 is 5, negative 1 plus negative 4, negative 5, 2 plus 2 is 4, negative 2 plus negative 2 is negative 4. None of them add to 2. So that means that trinomial x squared plus 2x plus 4 is prime, which means my factored form, oops, that was not what I wanted, of x cubed minus 8 is x squared, the quantity x minus 2 times the quantity x squared plus 2x plus 4.